everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're checking out the new Moto 360 smartwatch, and the folks from Motorola sent this to the show for us to take a look at. Very attractive and classy looking design, actually. I'm really quite fond of how this looks on my wrist. They reduced the size, or at least they offer reduced size as an option now for both men and women. So this is the 42 millimeter version. This is down from a 46 millimeter version they had on the prior version of this watch. There is a 46 millimeter size in the men's variety for this second generation edition. The women's style is limited to just the 42 millimeter size only, but I really like the size of it on my wrist. You can see it here next to an Apple Watch, which is a little bit larger, actually, believe it or not, at least as far as its thickness is concerned, but just slightly thicker, I guess, but about the same size overall, even though one has a square face and the other one has a round face. But I'm very, very pleased with the overall look, and it's a lot less expensive, too. So as you see this watch, this is $299. That's the base price. That includes a leather band. It may not be as high quality, perhaps, as the Apple bands that you might be able to get, but it's got a lot of sizing options. It fits pretty comfortably on my wrist. It does feel very lightweight, actually. It feels lighter than the Apple Watch does. And I think this looks nicer with that round face, which is, for me, a more traditional watch design, which I prefer. So I was quite pleased to see this actually come in a smaller size now, because I really like the way the old one looked. I just didn't like the size of it. They have different coloring options for the body here, so you can change the color of the stainless steel base here, as well as the border around the screen too. So you have a few different options there. A lot of options actually in the $299 price range. I think the top end price is like $430, $450, so not all that expensive to get into this thing, and I think they've done a nice job with that overall. This works with Android phones as well as iPhones. So the new version of Android Wear, which is what this is running, is compatible with both of the two major mobile phone platforms. So if you own an iPhone, you can use this with an iPhone. There will be some reduced functionality from what you're going to see in this video, but I am going to cover how this works with the iPhone in a future video. So if you're not subscribed, definitely click that subscribe button, because in the next couple of days I'll show you how it works with the iPhone. So we'll be sure to check that out. Battery life, which I know is probably going to be top of mind for everybody, has been excellent, at least in my experimentation here the last couple of days. What I've done is pretty much put my Apple Watch and my iPhone in a drawer and been using a Moto X as well as the 360 exclusively for most of this work week. So just to give you an idea, so I'm all in right now testing this thing out, and the battery life has been excellent. I charged, last charged this around 7:30 or 7:45 or so this morning. It's now roughly about 10:30 p.m. in the evening, and I still have 24% left on the battery. So the battery life is excellent. They do have a sensor down here at the bottom, which is why the circle is kind of cut off here. As you can see with that notification, doesn't go fully round. And there's a light sensor there for the backlight. Now you'll notice though that the backlight just shut off, and it goes into this low power mode where this will always stay on. So if you don't get the wrist action right to get that backlight on, you have to kind of pull up, kind of do one of these things to put it up to your face to get that backlight to come on. It doesn't always catch it. This Apple Watch has the same issue, but even if you don't get that wrist action right, you can at least see what the time is. My only gripe is that the notifications tend to block out the bottom of the watch in this mode, but I'm sure we can probably do some configuration somewhere to fix that issue, or switch to like a digital face or something. But even with this screen on all the time, it is able to get the battery life that I'm seeing here. So again, we're about 22, 25% or so after 13, 14 hours of usage here. So pretty good battery life on here. Definitely all-day battery life. You can turn off this mode. They call it ambient mode if you want to get a little bit better life out of it. But again, I've been pretty pleased with how well this has worked overall. Now the ambient mode out in direct sunlight did not work as well as the backlight mode did. So this looked just fine out in direct sunlight. That didn't. So I think if you are spending most of your time out on bright sunny days outside, you might just want to turn off the ambient mode and save yourself some battery life, so you'll have a little bit more juice at the end of the day. The band is pretty high quality. It's leather. It's Horween leather, so it's actually from a real leather factory that we can look up on the internet here. So pretty nice there. Very soft leather. Feels very nice. I think it'll hold up quite well over time. Stainless steel here, so this is all of really high quality materials here. Even the clasp here is made out of stainless steel. There is a heart rate sensor on the back here. It pretty much works as well as my Apple Watch sensor does. The Apple Watch, of course, has a few more sensors just to try to catch it the right way, but at least for me, it was detecting my heart rate just fine. You can pull off these bands also. There's a little, like a little hinge there, so you can just kind of pull this off that way and pull the whole mechanism off here, I believe, and you can switch out these bands. Not as easy as the Apple bands to take off and put back on again, but you can do it and buy additional bands from Motorola, and I think these are compatible with a number of other popular watch bands out there too, so you shouldn't have an issue finding a band that works best with your watch. And when it is time to charge the watch, you have a little stand here that they give you in the box. So you plug in USB power, they give you a USB power adapter in the box, or you can plug it into another charger if you wish. Just pop your watch down like so, and you've got yourself a nice little nightstand option here for charging the watch. And the only issue I'm noticing with the build quality is that where the casing meets the glass, I'm starting to get some dust building up in there, and it's hard to get it out. So it's not getting underneath the glass, but it's kind of getting stuck in between where the glass face meets the metal. All right, let's take a look and see how the software functions on it. This is a touchscreen device. There's no physical hardware really to navigate around with. There is a button here which is going to act as an on-off button. It can also just dismiss things when they're on screen here. So if I have Doug's notification here, I can just push the button and back out to our home screen. If I want to hide the notifications, I can slide them down that way. So let's pull up Doug's first here and we'll see what we got. This is a Hangout, a Google Hangout chat that I'm having with him, and I can slide over to the right here and reply to him if I want with my voice. I can view the conversation here, and I can also open the app on my phone to maybe type a little bit easier with it, but I can just hit reply here, and I'll just say, this is a test message from my watch. And what's nice about how this works is that it will send it without having to do another confirmation. So it's pretty quick to get that message out after you are ready to send it. On the Apple Watch, I found there was a lot of steps involved with it. I had to get my voice dictation, decide whether or not I wanted to send it as text or as a recording. It was kind of a cumbersome process. This I kind of like. You do have to get in there and hit cancel quickly, otherwise it will become an issue for you. But you can pretty much send a notification without touching it again after you hit that reply button, which I did like. And that kind of functions the same across most of the messaging apps that you might use. That's one of the things that I found to be most useful about smartwatches, is being able to do that. I have a Twitter notification here from someone who liked a tweet I made earlier today. And what's cool is I can slide this over to the right here. If I don't want to get notifications from this app, I can just block the app completely. You can also do that from the phone, but I think it's a little bit more efficient to do it from the watch, because the phone app is a little bit cumbersome. You're gonna have a whole big list of apps on there, and it might be easier just to block applications as you get notifications. But by default, every app on your phone will send you a notification. If I just want to dismiss this one, I can just slide it to the right here, not the left, and it will go away, and it'll be done for a while there. And of course, you can scroll through them like this if you wish to do that. Every app that sends you a notification has different options here. So for example, on this one, I can click on the Moto Body app, which is a watch companion to the phone app, and this is doing my heart rate and my steps for the day and all the other stuff. So you have the ability to kind of get into a lot of detail from those notifications also. Now this is a smartwatch and it runs apps. So we have the Google Maps app open up here as an example. So you can set a pin here just by long pressing and then tap on it to navigate to where you want to go. So it works similar to other smartwatches like the Apple Watch in that regard. So you can do some stuff like that. You can pull over the list of available apps just by pushing to the right there. But one of the things that I'm noticing is that the app organization isn't all that great. So basically it puts the apps in the order in which you last ran them. There's really no rhyme or reason. It doesn't seem to be a way that I can organize them any better than the way it currently is. So the last app that you ran will kind of be at the top, and you can scroll down the list. Any app that you install on your Android phone that has a watch companion will have that app installed on your watch. You can't take it out unless you remove the app from the phone. There might be some third-party apps out there that do something like that, but I haven't found the default way to do that. So that's a bit of an annoyance that it's sometimes hard to find what you're looking for. Of course, you can launch apps with voice, but still I like to sometimes go and tap on the things that I want to load up, and it's a little bit of a hassle to have to go scroll through a big list of things, especially if I haven't run something in a while. But you can see some other examples of apps here. This is the Moto Body app. It's kind of the fitness tracker. Again, just kind of basic companion sort of information here that it's giving us. Nothing all that spectacular. I haven't found any real apps that blew me away, so there isn't quite a killer app available on the platform here, at least just not yet, but there are some basic app functions. If you want to look at your settings, you can drag down from the top here. You can scroll through a couple things. For example, we can turn off all of our notifications. Right now it's past 11 p.m., so I have it just doing only priority notifications only, which might be good while we're shooting this review. You never know what might come through on my phone. You can set it on a theater mode, which I believe will kind of turn down the backlight and stuff. So if you're in a theater and you don't want to disturb people, you can do that. You can boost the brightness if you wanted to do something like that. And then you have a bunch of settings in here, including Wi-Fi settings. And what's neat about how Google is doing this Wi-Fi stuff is that you can have it connect to your Wi-Fi network. And what it'll do is if your phone happens to not be with you, but it is somewhere on the internet, it'll work through an intermediary Google Cloud server to sync things up. I have not yet been able to get this to work on this watch, and I have a feeling that I have an early version of it, and I think the software isn't quite up to date yet. But the way it's supposed to work is that if the phone is on somewhere connected to the internet and the watch has access to a Wi-Fi network, they can communicate with each other. If the phone is off, this watch is not going to do as much as what you're seeing here. So you're not going to get the notifications and the messaging. It will do all the fitness tracking and, of course, keep time, but it will not be able to function without some connection to the phone, whether directly via Bluetooth as it's connected right now, or over the internet through that intermediary cloud server. So there are some options if your phone doesn't happen to be with you to still gain some functionality with it. But as most smartwatches go, there are some limits to what it can do, and this is pretty much what you're going to be able to use this as, is primarily as a companion to your phone at the moment. But I have found just through my Apple Watch experience that just that companion function is pretty convenient. I'm able to respond to messages without having to take my phone out and type. I'm able to see who's calling me on the phone. This will ring the watch, but it will not allow you to take the call on the watch because there's no speaker on it. There is a microphone, but you can't hear anything, of course. But you can answer the phone from the watch. So if your phone is somewhere else in the house or something and you want to make sure you don't miss the call, you can at least get that call on the hook and then pick up your phone later and talk to them. So there are some things that are very convenient about having a smartwatch, but overall its functionality can be a bit limiting in that it doesn't have a lot of apps that can run natively on the hardware just yet, but I think we'll start seeing more of that as we're seeing competition kind of heat up in this wearable space. So what I'm going to do now is get the phone booted up, and we're going to take a look at how the apps work on the phone that you can use to configure the watch. So this is a Google app that you can use to configure a lot of the watch's functions a little bit more easily. So for example, here I can tap on different watch faces and have those download right to the watch like so pretty quickly and easily. This one's kind of cool. This is the weather radar app, which will make my watch face into a real-time weather radar, which I thought was pretty cool. So there are a lot of neat things that you can download. There's an app called Watchmaker, which has a lot of watch faces you can get for about $3, and you can design your own, download additional ones through an in-app purchase, or go on their community and get some free watch faces from people that are designing them also. So really cool stuff there that you can play with. What I also really liked about the Android watch platform is that you can set actions based on the apps that you wish to choose. So one of the things that happens on the Apple platform is that if I want to set an alarm, my only option is to use Apple's clock. I can't use a third-party app and trigger it with a voice command, but on Android you can. So they have a whole bunch of different actions here. And for example, if I wanted to take a note, I can decide with that verbal command what app on the watch and phone will be used for that. So if I wanted to use Google Keep to make a note, I can set that here in the app, and anytime I make that request to take a note with the watch, the Google Keep app will be the one that does it. But again, I can change that to something else. Music is another great example. If I had Spotify loaded on here, I could have that be my music app versus the Google Play Music. So a lot of different options for getting the watch to work the way you want it to, which is something that Apple is a little bit more restrictive on with their watch. So that was a pretty cool thing too. I did want to show you the Motorola app. They have an app called Connect, and that is how you configure their watch faces. And you can do it on the watch also, but it's a little bit easier to customize it on the phone. So you can see here, this is the watch face I was using before. We've got 3 complications in addition to the time. So they call those little circles there complications. So I can go and change the color of the display here if I wish. Maybe I'll change it to green, and then I can define what goes into those little complications. So maybe I want to have the weather in this one, maybe the center be in separate apps. So the Todoist is an app that works with this watch face, and I can put a to-do item perhaps in there or make that a quick launch location. And then maybe I can set the right dial to be my footsteps. And if I hit apply here at the top, you'll see it transfer over to the watch, and we'll have a color change. And then I can, of course, just tap on that Todoist complication, and it will load it up. Of course, I haven't logged into it just yet to try it, but you get the idea as to how that works. So pretty cool stuff. I have to say, I've been using this exclusively as my daily driver, this phone and this watch, and I'm not missing much from the iOS platform. I think the biggest thing that the Apple Watch can do that this one can't do at the moment is Apple Pay, which is being able to buy stuff just by tapping your watch to a reader, which I found to be very, very helpful. But beyond that, there isn't really nothing that this one can't do that the Apple Watch can do. The fitness tracking is pretty accurate. The heart rate monitor is pretty much the same on both here. I've been really impressed with this platform overall, and I'm very happy with the styling on this watch. I think it's a very attractive design. It's certainly very affordable, which I think will be in reach of a lot of people, and it's cross-platform. So if you don't want to spend this much on an Apple Watch or aren't sure if a smartwatch is for you, but you have an iPhone, you can use this on that platform. You might see some limitation in functionality, which we're going to explore in an upcoming video, but it does work on both platforms, and if you have an Android phone, you'll have a really good experience using this overall. So this is kind of like the initial look at this watch. Again, very pleased with it. I think it's a really good bargain and certainly a nice product and very high quality with really good battery life. So I think I can definitely recommend this one. We're going to be exploring this further. I would love to get some folks who have been using the Android Wear platform for some time to write to me and talk about some of the apps that you're running. I did a very quick glance at some of the things that I've been using it for, basically replicating my Apple Watch behavior, if you will. But I know there are a lot more apps. This platform has been out longer, so I'd love to hear some of the things that you're running, and maybe I'll explore those in a future video. This is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.